So my name is Adrien Chaussinand. Today I'm Head of Innovation and Partnership for Paris & Co, the Economic Development Agency of Paris Metropolitan Area. But before that, and when I met my friend Alistair, I was working for Bouygues, a conglomerate company that owns a lot of different businesses in the smart city. For example, we had construction, real estate, telecommunication, and media. During these 5 years working for this big company, I was in charge of innovation projects, and I helped the company, the real estate part of the company, to follow the trends of the district transformation. That's perfect. Thank you, Alistair.
No problem.
Okay, so you can just go to the first slide, please. Excellent. So yes, and as I said, yes, I was working for Bouygues, a very large company that was working on many businesses, and I was in charge of innovation projects that helped the real estate part of the company to follow the trends of the district transformation and to try to work and create businesses into this city. Of course, at that time, we were speaking a lot about smart homes, smart buildings, energy efficiency, technical problems that face the construction companies in this daily activity. But the truth is that after working 1 year in the company, you begin to understand that there is problems that are not directly, these problems are not impacting directly the life of your clients and the citizens. So my first question today is, what is the smart city mission statement? And I think you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So when I was thinking about it, and it's, I think, a very hard question, you can think about the Apple mission statement. Apple says it's not about technology at all. Apple is dedicated to the empowerment of man, to making personal computing accessible to each and every individual, so as to help change the way we think, work, learn, and communicate. How to compete, clearly. And actually, I think this statement could work also for smart cities. Just changing the words personal computing with the word common space. So yes, smart cities are here to make, let's say, the common space accessible to each and every individual, so has to help to change the way of they live, of course, they work, we learn, we communicate, and maybe more important, we live, because we are living in cities. So for startups that hearing us tonight, I wanted to share with you this message. Do not forget to build your missions with those thoughts. Every day, your technologies will impact the life of humans, change their behavior, and you have the responsibility to make them smarter, more creative, selfless, happier, or becoming the slave of your invention, control the way they make decisions. And that's the one biggest challenge cities we have to face in the next years. In Europe, for example, I was thinking about GDPR, the protection of data, personal data. And I think this subject of controlling people in the city is born with this idea to protect citizens from big companies or little companies that change the way of choosing stuff inside the cities. Okay, after showing those thoughts on the purpose of smart cities, let's talk a little bit about the main trends of city transformations. First, population is growing, and clearly people will continue to converge into mega cities. Cities will have to face and to invent new ways to let people going from a point A to a point B. And for example, co-working is one of the major answer we have seen in the last years. I remember the growth of WeWork. It has been really amazing the last past years, and we have to remember that their clients, they are not only startups but also big companies, because they need to change the way they offer spaces to their employees. So it's about happiness. It's about, you have to grow, but you have to organize your growth and to make it smooth for everyone. Buildings also need to be renovated in this in urbanization, because we face also that some buildings have more than 100 years, and then you have to change them. We have plenty of materials that when we made these buildings before, and it's very interesting today to see the growth of recycling business, the way startups recycle these materials and create new value. And it's I think a trend that we have to look into the next years, because it will be interesting. We hope to see in the next years a huge amount of business created in the circular economy in terms of construction materials, but also in managing the waste generated by the user of the cities. Some cities aimed to halving the quantities of waste that they generate. Yes, I just came back to Paris a few months ago, and I saw in the streets many advertisements about throwing your waste, your green waste in new garbage. You have plenty of initiative of people that try to work with restaurants to bring the waste of restaurants into gardens and try to make compost with that. Really interesting trends. And business model, of course, we have to think about it too. The second part is also about the global warming and the impact on the cities and the infrastructure itself. And I think I remember, Alistair, when I was with you in Boston, the government was working on a strategy to adapt the city with the rise of the ocean level. I think a quarter of Boston space could be surrounded by ocean in the next years. A big challenge for Boston. Cities we have to offer the opportunity.
Actually, Adrien, they did cover this. The city of Boston was a presenter, and they did show us, how it would affect actually the city. Yeah.
Okay, great. Good to hear that. Yep, and cities have to offer the opportunity to people to change their behavior, the way of using services, and even the way of owning things. And again, a big example, when we think about Uber, it would have been crazy to explain to our great parents that we don't want to own cars anymore today, but only to use the service of moving from point A to point B. Okay, so you change the way you use the city, and you reduce the impact of your life on global warming. So city could be a big answer to this big challenge of climate change. Third, it's all about technologies and the way we receive the information. We share emotions in the city. We get access to services. Personally, I clearly think that the infrastructure will have to react to the revolution of using stuff and using this data. So it has to be connected too. So I mean, infrastructure, buildings, roads, everything's in the city have to communicate with your phone, and with you. So it has to be, this is the way we call smart stuff, smart city. Um, so this is, yeah, we hear more and more about infrastructure that is able to answer the pace of internet, the speed of internet, and 5G will, I think, be a kind of, yeah, acceleration in that transformation. Okay, we can of course use IoT to change the smart city and generate data that needs to produce the services expected by the new generation. And finally, it's about taking good decision together, because building smart city is also working together to build a place to live together. People expect to live customized experiences. So technically, it means product flexible and adaptable services. And it's a real challenge because we are in the age of standardization. We need a system more and more safe, and in the same times more and more customized. And this is where the two big, yeah, I think one of the big challenge of the next years is and we need also to make this process or these services scalable. So I won't see a future only with robots. That's not uh, the future I see, but more services led by humans and helped by AI and machines. Okay, speaking about human solution and initiative, I wanted to follow my presentation with few examples that I crossed along my career. And I think the organization of the urban organization um, of Paris is one of the answer to these main challenges. If you see the map of Paris, you see that you can do everything with only 20 minutes walking. And it means that you can almost live all your life in a 20-minute walk cycle. And this is a crazy answer from a city to the way we should live our life. And it's also an answer to the COVID crisis, actually, because people, they are almost, the clusters of people are only, you can walk along this cycle and find everything you need for living your life. Really interesting. And co-working, if you see the map of co-working places, are very are just placed in the center of each cycles. Okay, next. So for mobility, Paris organized its urbanization. About sustainability, it's an example from the US and from Canada. I chose to show you Sidewalk Labs districts. It's a full wood district. So when they thought about this project, they said, okay, we need to organize the production of the buildings itself. So create business by creating districts. In Canada, they have a lot of wood, they have plenty of forests, and they don't have the capacity, the factories to transform this wood into buildings. So when Google won the district call of tender from Toronto City, they offer they also explain to the cities and to the citizen they will create jobs, and they will build this building by creating factories to build this building and to improve the capacity of Canada and of Toronto to create smart and sustainable districts. So it's not only creating districts, it's also creating the way to continue to build the city in a sustainable way. Third example. Thank you, Alistair. A really nice initiative from Boston, from MIT. I think, Alistair, you know these people. It's about Biobot. Biobot, these guys find a way to learn from the sewers of the public sewers to make public health observatories. So you can detect pandemic situations, you can detect drugs, and you can say that this district is in a good health or not. And that was a very nice initiative. I think today they are trying to open more cities, more districts, because there is a lot of problems about GDPR, privacy of people. You can work only on one building, only on one district, but you can see the impact of public policy. For example, they try to reduce the drug consumption of a district, and you can see the results in live. And I think it's a real nice tool for the future of the cities and for the health of the population. Okay. You have two more examples. Perfect. I think it's about also the safety of the streets. I wanted to imagine a little bit the future of using image recognition. So using AI, you can see the traffic, you can manage the traffic of people, but you can also change the way people live the experience of a street. And for example, in Paris, but I think in Boston too, sometimes you close some roads to let people walk along the streets and on the roads, and you can see if when you close a street, you can count the people, you can try to have statistics to know if you made well or not, if people came, if people where the people like to walk, where where the cars and the people are too close, and it creates dangerous situation. And we will see in the next years, I think, many initiatives like this to understand better how people walk, how the people move into the city, and how people interact into the city. That will be very interesting. And again, we will have some questions about GDPR on these topics. And finally, you have also the question of governance in districts, how people choose the city they want to be inside. So Co-Urbanized it's also startups from Boston, and they are thinking about how to let people express themselves on projects the city wants to build, or a real estate developer wants to build. At the first time I met this startup, I was thinking they are dreamers. They think they will let people say everything they want. And for example, real estate developers, they don't want to understand, to hear all this criticism. But at the end of the day, if you let people express what they think, you can change a little bit the project. You can speak with them and change maybe the next building you will make with their recommendation and with the ideas. And letting people speaking always create new ideas and always makes better projects. And I think it's the last slide that will explain much more better how I see the smart city. It's about Venture Cafe. One of the mission that I will have in Paris next year, I think it will be to create the same kind of place to meet and to connect people together, create better interactions, but also the way um, to let people have built new businesses. And I think this is the way of building smart cities. So yes, Boston is very inspiring, but I think come to Paris, startups, and come to build the future together.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Adrien. Thank you very much for being there so late on your side. This was really good, great examples. We have a
Yep.
couple of questions for you. So one question is for why urbanize when we can work from anywhere?
Excellent question. I think don't say that to a real estate developer. First, I think people need to separate their housing life to their um, office life. So I heard some projects to try to build offices in the first floor of buildings, and then you have the flats, the housing. But it's only a way of answering the question. I think, yeah, you can work everywhere from the world, but in terms of human contact, you will need sometimes to see people, because you build project not only with sharing ideas, but also to sharing moments, emotions. And even we know that we can do many things on internet with Zoom and uh, yeah, by speaking just together. Sometimes you need also to see people, to see how they interact with you, and creating big groups we need to be closer. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent, Adrien. And then one question for you is, what companies have you seen the last 2, 3 years that are just have blown your mind, that are in sort of relation to what we're talking about today, which is the eco-city revolution?
Mm, that's a good question, because I think it depends on the topics we are speaking about. If we speak about the entire city vision, I think Sidewalk Labs from the company from Google is one of the best answer to many technical questions. But in terms of best organizations to think smart cities, Boston is really managing the growth of its infrastructure, and in the same times trying to mix the population. Many initiatives are very interesting in Boston, clearly. So yeah, try to yeah, trying to think about new or other startups or stuff that are really blowing my mind.
There was a company you told, and I don't know if you can reveal the name, but there was a company you told me this is going to change the game in building houses and buildings.
We are speaking about Catera.
Catera, okay.
Yeah, Catera is kind of we work for builders. Yeah, so it's half of the company is building a software to replicate very quickly the way of building stuff, and in the same way they are building factories to produce the buildings and the infrastructure. So they are beginning to make scalable something that was for the last centuries not scalable. Creating a building, it's always something very local, and they are thinking how to replicate the way of making buildings everywhere in the world. And that's a way to reduce the waste of when you do a building. It's a way to reduce the energy. I really want to see Catera in 5 years to see if they are able to reach their goal.
Excellent, excellent. And so we are going to enter now in a networking session, and maybe any last, thing to save humanity, something to inspire us, to go into the networking session. I'm just going to show a couple of slides to inspire you. So basically, we started the day saying we want to go back to places like Venture Cafe, CIC. We want a healthier world. We want to see new transportations, helping us be closer to our loved ones, have fun maybe on new types of transportations in cities, see clean energy so we don't have pollution, no health issues. What's the future of our housing, the smart grid, and so on? Can we collaborate between cities to make things happen faster? How can we give everyone a voice to get a better chance in fixing what's broken? What can we do in Boston? How can we fix things? How can we leverage cities? Adrien, please finalize us today with some inspiring vision of yours. Tough question, loaded question, but no pressure.
I think the only city that I can see when I close my eyes is the city of everyone, without the shape of the buildings, the shape of the city, but only working together to learn how to live together. So yeah, I really think solving the problem of cities is first solving the problem of living together.
I think I agree with you as well, Adrien. Thank you so much, Adrien, for being here. You can stay with us. We're going to open the floor now for those who want to network. We'll also have a post-event speaker-only meet and greet gathering because it was asked. They did find synergies possible to do together to actually advance things. Maybe we can do another event, number 2, bigger, bit better, stronger, maybe physical next year when things go back to normal. So please feel free to raise your hand if you want to stay in the networking session, and then we'll promote you to a panelist, and we can quickly do a round table, get to know you, and then go from there. Otherwise, see you next time.